Okay, hi everyone. My name is Rob Vai, and I'm here from S2S Sports Australia. I'm the owner and director, and I'll be talking with you today about the fourth episode of what I've learned coaching female footy players. And today's topic will be the pathways to the NRLW. Now, I'm going to start off by looking at the male pathways to the NRL. So if you're a young boy wanting to play for the first time with your under 6s, under 12s, you are basically going to take this route that has many different progressions and layers for you to be able to be exposed to development, and the opportunities for development are quite high. So we've got junior rugby league, and then following that, each competition will basically have their junior pathways. So under 13s, 14s and 15s, which is pretty much the same everywhere all around. And then so the next progression from there, if you get 13s, 14s, or 15s development, you go into the Haramat system, which has been around since the 1980s. And then the junior rep system after that is SG Ball. Following that is Jersey Flag. So Jersey Flag used to be the NYC, National Youth Competition, but this one is now state-based, so it's New South Wales-based. And now once you go from there, you could either go into either of these. You can either go into either Sydney Shield, which is open men's competition, and then Ron Massey Cup, which is the higher level of the open men's competition that they feed to. And then Ron Massey Cup feeds into New South Wales Cup, which is your reserve grade. And then you've got NRL. So what you've got here is a number of different layers and basically feeders towards becoming an NRL player. So what you can see there is that you've got about 4 underneath, but let's have a look at the women's programs and see what we have here. Okay, now we've got the pathway to the NRLW. And as I explained in episode 1, you could be, as a female player, starting from anywhere, starting from another sport in your adult age. You can be starting in under 6s with the boys, but generally this is, as of 2025, the pathway for female development, which this specifically focuses on New South Wales. But junior rugby league, by the age of 6 or 5, you can start as a girl playing with boys. Once you hit the under 12s, that's your last year, and under 13s, you can no longer play with the boys, which has always been the rule. And then after this, you've got basically a group of a very high number of players in the NRLW today who have not played between the ages of 12 and 17, 18, because when they were playing, there were no female competitions. So that is what has changed today. Junior rugby league, there's a lot of all-female junior competitions, starting from under 12s all the way through to 18s, and then obviously women's. Now, junior development pathways, there's not a lot of junior development pathways that are happening at the moment. Under 13s, 14s and 15s, not every club has this. I, particularly being at Parramatta, in their pathways programs, I was across the 14s, 15s and 16s, and I could see how well it was run and how heavily they focused on development. So their programs there were quite strong, and it showed as they fed their players into the Lisa Fiola and Tasha Gale. So Lisa Fiola and Tasha Gale Cup are your 17s and your 19s, equivalent to the boys. And then you've just got one massive jump where I'm finding a lot of Tasha Gale players are jumping straight into Harvey Norman, because not only is the talent there that's coming through, because his comp only started not long ago, but these players here are overtaking a lot of the women in the Harvey Norman space, which is the reserve grade space. Now, given that the Tasha Gale players who are talented go through to Harvey Norman, those who don't basically play in your open women's local leagues, or maybe lucky to play in an under 18s competition. Now, that feeder from Harvey's into the NRLW is another leap in itself. But what this basically highlights is a very, very big lack of development opportunities for the girls in this space. Now, that also reveals another thing, that if you are a female and you are an open women age player. If you were not in a Harvey Norman women's development or Harvey Norman women's team or competition, you basically have to rely on your local competitions for any form of development. Again, this is that gap in development for a lot of the female players, whether you're young or whether you're old, that it reveals. So the male clubs in 2025, there's 17 NRL clubs, whereas in the females, there's only 10, with 2 new additions with the Bulldogs and the Warriors. Furthermore, we've got some more statistics showing that the male participation rate at 156,725 participants nationwide, whereas the females are at 44,546. Now, obviously a big difference, it's expected. This is the most interesting thing I've found, is that male growth in the game has only been 5% over the past 5 years. The female space is 10 times the amount at 55%. So they went from a much lower number. I think they got up to 40,000 in terms of their numbers, but in nationwide. So because they got all the way up to 40,000 in such a short amount of time, that very big increase just shows the rapid rate of attention the game is getting. More girls are wanting to play. More parents are trusting the game and are opening up to letting their girl play. The societal norms are changing. Less restrictions and barriers to wanting to play sport from all ages. And this shows, however, with such a huge amount of players influxing in the game, from what I'm seeing, a lot of clubs are just being dumped this big problem on them where they have to develop the players and the females. Now, I've spoke heavily about the fact that females are very different to males in terms of how they are coached. So if we look here at this opportunity for development with so many new players and such a lack of, adaptation of support to meet this demand, the gap is very, very big in terms of what is needed for the females at this point. If we just go back and look at the opportunities for development, because there's such a rise in increase, what I am pointing to is not the fact that all of these over here needs to match all of these over here in terms of layers, but in terms of development, for example, for women, if you're in the reserve grade, you've got 1, 2, and basically 3 different levels of opportunities to have development and to be able to feed into your own reserve grade, whereas the reserve grade stands on its own in New South Wales and feeds directly into the NRLW. So that alone for the women, they don't have a lot of opportunities there. But looking at the lower levels here in the younger age groups, this is still an interesting area because I can see that it's obviously a big influx of players, and these areas here in these age groups, they're going to develop and they need to be able to go on that trajectory and path so that when they're in those systems, we're not going to have fresh, brand new players scattered amongst all the clubs. We can have players that are entering the game or entering these systems have a bit more exposure to development and improve skill level because, like I said before, the tackling, the skill levels for the females are significantly less, which is expected. But in terms of the quality and in terms of the opportunities for them to grow in their own skill and game, it's not quite there yet compared to the boys. In terms of the influx of numbers, we're not saying that this needs to match this. I'm just saying the influx of numbers basically suggests that it should be improved, and hopefully with time it will be. Just a quick note, the Storm are making moves. They will eventually join the Lisa Fiola competition. Some reports say by 2026. So going back to my point, the opportunities for development for females, if you are open age woman, is not that big. Whereas in the junior age groups, again, it is reinforced by the idea that such new pathways within the Tasha Gale and Lisa Fiola Cup, there is a need to have a quick spread of coaches where the higher level coaches that are in these systems we've already got a lot in the men's side, but to be able to coach at a higher level in the women's side through the junior pathways, there is a big demand for quality coaches and for quality development, which unfortunately not every single player in those systems are getting compared to the Haramat system, based on a lot of what the reports are from parents towards me and what they've been selling me. So this again just highlights where we're at as a game, and hopefully this is going to improve, and I know it will, with the hard work in the female space. But it just reflects with this big amount of growth that the development is just not there now. From my followers, a lot of my followers have completed my polls, and up to 80% of them had said that the demand and the growth within the last 5 years, that 55%, 80%, that 55% increase, majority of my followers who had voted for my polls has said that there is not enough resources or support to meet this demand. So it's not just me saying it, it's parents saying it, it's players wanting more development. It's just there, but that's where the game is at. So it slowly will improve, but I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So if you want more information about what we do and who we are, just head to s2sportsaustralia.com.au. We're heavily invested in developing the female space, providing both opportunities for juniors, teenagers, and the open women's pathways. And hopefully we gave you a bit of an indication as to where the game is at. So join us next time on our next episode. We'll be talking more in depth about the girls game and the female game. So thanks for tuning in, and take care.